What's up everyone? John Rettinger from Techno Buffalo here with an unboxing and overview of a product so crappy that I cannot wait to show it with you, and you can all bask in its knockoff awesomeness. Please meet the ePad. Let's go ahead and dig in. Alright, so before we look at all the fake knockoffness of this device, let's go ahead and check out the box, because the box itself is super entertaining. First, I think this is running Android 2.1, yet it's got the Internet Explorer logo right there as part of the E. That's kind of funny in its own right. So the box itself is just a ton of jokes sort of built into it. So first, there's a Windows logo in the upper right-hand corner, which is awesome, with a minimize... and the close button. The battery they're showing is almost drained with just a little bar of battery life. It's got the Windows Explorer, or Internet Explorer rather, icons across the top with the home and the back. I mean, stuff you really haven't seen since XP. The icons are on the front are clearly a mashup of some iOS, some Windows, and what other weird things they could come up with. I had a family friend that went to China, brought this back for me, thought it was too funny not to share. I can't really tell you what this thing costs because they didn't really know it was a gift from someone they knew in China. But Amazon's got something similar listed for $249. This thing is probably not worth the cost of the box that it's put in. So don't even consider buying one of these things. Let me just show it to you and show you why. Alright, so the box itself, super funny, filled with very weird contradictions. Let's go ahead and open it up. We've got a power adapter and a little sort of a proprietary port. Might be micro USB here for Ethernet. We'll talk about that in a minute. Let's go ahead and pull out the ePad and bask in its awesomeness for just a few minutes. Alright, so clearly it's supposed to look like the iPad, right? Hence the pad name. And it looks similar, you know, I'll give it that. It's got a black bezel and has a screen and a home button. Let's go ahead and take a look around the device. So you've got supposedly stereo speakers, super crappy, don't work. We'll talk about those a little bit. On the top, we've got nothing. It's supposed to be a microphone, doesn't really work. It's supposed to be also an ambient light sensor, doesn't work either. There's another microphone input here. So here we've got sort of a proprietary port, doesn't really do much. There's your power button. That's where you're supposed to be able to plug in that Ethernet port. Doesn't work either. Volume up and down. You've got DC in. You've got a strange mini USB port. You've got an actual USB port. Audio in and out. There's a hard reset button. And then there's yet another microphone in the back. It doesn't even have a fake Apple logo. Alright, so let's go ahead and turn this guy on. For those of you that are familiar with Android, this is supposedly running Android 2.1, which obviously is based on the open source Linux operating system. We don't necessarily see Linux when you boot into typical Android. So check this out. I'm going to go ahead and turn the power on. Going to go ahead and boot up. You get the ePad logo. You can see me in there. Check it out. The Tux Penguin. That's kind of funny. Not something you see. Very strange, sort of an old Android look. I'm not sure if they just copied Android and sort of made their own operating system that looked like Android, which would be weird because Android's open source anyway. But as I sort of go through and show you, you'll see. So you get that's sort of an Android logo not many people are familiar with. And this is not just a stock Android that you get. You get a blue indicator light also letting you know that it's powered on. I can't wait till this thing boots up so I can show you the crappy awesomeness of this thing. So it is a resistive touchscreen that it's using. And you're looking at this saying, okay, it looks kind of Android-y. Maybe John doesn't know what he's talking about. So let's go ahead and take a look first at this menu. So it's Android, but you don't have a home button, a back button, or a search button. They put those buttons at the top. So let's say I want to jump into settings, which we'll go back to in a minute. And then you're like, hey, I don't want to be in settings. Oh, look, that settings isn't even opening up. There you are. Let's say, hey, I don't want to be in settings. Well, there's no home button to go back to. You have to actually hit it on the screen to go back. And it'll sort of work sometimes. Not always. Alright, so speaking of settings, let's go ahead and jump in and see if we can learn anything about this guy. So we'll go ahead and scroll to the bottom, and there is About Device. Let's go ahead and check out. So there's a model number, box, some Chinese symbol. And you've got firmware version 2.1, so it is running Android 2.1, which sort of gives devices that are not running Android 2.1 no excuse to not be at least running what's a sort of modern version of Android. You can get any more information on that. Not going to get much. Baseband version unknown. Legal information. What kind of legal information can they say about this thing? Open source licenses. That's the legal information. So some of the Android stuff does work. You can get the services thing. And speaking of services, let me go ahead and go back, and I'll use that button at the top to go back. Let's go ahead and go back one more. Let's see. Go back again. All right, so let's take a look at some of the wireless stuff here, which is kind of neat. First, there's Ethernet configuration. You don't really see that much in Android. Let's go to wireless and networks here. 3G EVDO. Turn on the 3G EVDO network. Okay, let's go ahead and turn that on. Doesn't work. There's no sort of EVDO radio here. I know China uses similar EVDO radio networks. And even if they used different EVDO bands, which are based on the CDMA network, we'd still get some sort of notification. Battery's going to die on this thing. Hopefully we can get enough time to show you, which is kind of weird. So they've got that in there, but the feature doesn't work. So let me go ahead and jump in and show you the browser, because hey, I'm sure you want to see that, and check out all of its Android 2.1 multi-touch browsing glory. Yeah, don't get your hopes up. All right, so let's go to, try to go to, pull up so I can show you the keyboard. All right, so there's the keyboard. It's long and stretched. If you go ahead and try and rotate it, let's take a look at what the keyboard's gonna look like in portrait. Looks stock Android. So let's try going to Techno Buffalo. You can see it doesn't necessarily register as quickly as I'm typing. All right, so I'll go ahead and go back to landscape mode and see what this looks like, and see if we can get some Flash content on here and just try and show you the awesome crappiness of this. Alright, so it's loading. You've got some content there. You can see it. It's a web page. You're thinking pretty great news, right? So you can scroll down, albeit very slowly, but you can read the text. If you want to do some pinch to zoom, it does not support multi-touch, so you're sort of out of luck. You got to use the old sort of G1 stock Android way of zooming in and out. But it does work, sort of. Let's go ahead and go back home. But the Flash content wasn't showing up there. You had the big Flash logo. Let's go ahead and look at what sort of applications are going to come here. So you have a browser, Real Player, iReader. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. So cannot open SD card. Okay, so nothing really to do there in the iReader. Let's go ahead and go back to applications. Let them open up here. You have something called Hi MSN. Let's go ahead and see what that looks like. It's a knockoff of MSN, and that just sort of crashed it. So that one's not going to work. Benchmark. That one sounds fun. Let's go ahead and see if we can benchmark this guy. Everything has a big question mark next to it. Let's go ahead and benchmark graphics. See if it'll even let us do this. So let's run benchmark. Take a long time. Do not turn this device off running benchmark. All right, so I'll run the benchmark in a minute, and I'll come back so you guys don't have to watch it and show what it looks like. You can see it doing something here. So you don't need to watch the whole test. And we can see how great and fantastic this is. It's asking for my Windows Live ID and password. I can tell you I would not trust this thing with any sort of passwords as far as I can throw it. And I probably can't throw it very far because its crappy build will probably break as I'm throwing it. Let's go back and go to home. There we go. And go see if it'll rotate back. All right, let's go see what else is going to come on here. So settings we already sort of took a look at. Let's go ahead and jump on over. Just try to go to the other page. So you've got Task Killer spare parts and this guy. I definitely can't read that, but perhaps some Mandarin speakers out there can understand what that says. And you just ask for a password. Nothing really that I would trust or want to give it. I don't know, let's go with that one. Alright, so that got us back home and put an icon on the home screen. So we can go back. Let's go ahead and take a look at, let's say, maps. Let's see if the GPS is going to function on here. So it is loading. Sort of pulling up actually the area where I'm at, so I will give the maps credit. It took away the Chinese part and brought in English, so I'll give it credit there. I'll go back to the home button. Let's go back and check a look at some of the other stuff here. So RSS reader that looks like Android Marketplace, which surprisingly is nowhere to be found on here. Let's go ahead and see what else, and that is going to be it. Let's take a look at gallery. Let's see what sort of the picture viewing is going to look like on here, whether or not it's stock Android or not. SD card unmounted, and that's unfortunate. Forced close, application stopped unexpectedly. And you'll find you're going to get that quite a bit with the ePad. The E should maybe stand for error. I'll go ahead and try and hit the home button. That will take me more forced close buttons. Anyway, I want to give you guys just sort of a fun overview here of the ePad. It turned into a lot longer video than I expected it to be. But just to have some fun and show us the incredibly bad knockoffs that are available out there. Do not buy the ePad. Don't even consider buying the ePad unless you need an ePad coaster. It is just not worth it. Anyway guys, I am John Brettinger of Techno Buffalo. I'll run those benchmarks and put the results at the end of this video in case you're curious. Check out Techno Buffalo for all your tech news, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye! Alright, so as promised, here are the benchmarking scores. It took about 4 minutes to run. Go ahead and look at those graphic CPU. For the Android fans out there and those that are interested in what this might be capable of, go ahead and see everything right there. And bask in the power of the ePad. See you guys in the next video.